My name is Willis D. Saunders, Jr., and I am a retired Deputy Superintendent with the Boston Police Department. I remember one incident happened. I remember I was looking out the window as a child, and I'll never forget it. I remember this old Model T pulled up in front of the store. There was a First National store across the street from my house. And I remember looking out the window, and I could see it plain as day now. I remember seeing two males go into the store, and then all of a sudden they came running out. And then all of a sudden I saw, and I can visualize this right now, the fellow, the manager, had a white apron on, and he was covered in blood. Evidently what happened was they went in there and they tried to rob the place, so they robbed the place and they shot him. And then I went into the Air Force, and I went to Shepherd Field, Texas, and then I spent a couple of weeks at Tuskegee, and then I went down to Eglin Field, Florida. I told my father, I said, you know, they got me washing planes. So he said, well, just hang in there and do your best. Remember what I always told you? Always carry yourself with class and dignity, which I always have done through my whole almost 80 years. I got out of the service, and I went down to Howard University. And mind you, I was an only child, and you're saying why I'm saying this. I stayed down at Howard University for 3 years. I played football down there. And I was an electrical engineering student. Some dumb idea that I had, and the worst thing I ever did in my life, and I can hear my mother and father, and they've been deceased a long time, hollering and screaming now. I refused to go back to Washington, D.C. at Howard University after completing 3 years as an electrical engineering student. So I took the police exam and passed the police exam in 1956. Now, when I went in 1956, in my class, I was the only African-American in that class out of 60. When you came in the station and up the stairs, you walked into the station and you said, and that's the way you saluted that front desk. Every time you came in that station, I don't care whether you went in there 50 times a day, you saluted 50 times when you come in that station. You saluted that front desk. Now, as far as African-American officers were concerned, there was only 3 stations that they were assigned to. Station 4, Station 10, and Station 9. I remember one night, I went to roll call, and the fellas, they read my name off. Lieutenant Hanlon made my name off for the A car. There was 4 cars on a division. It was known as district. It was division. It was Division 10, Division 9, Division 4. And he said Saunders A car, and they mentioned the other fellow's name. I'm not going to mention his name. And he told me to bring the car around front. I brought the car around front, and we started down the street. And I said, boy, my father's going to like this. I'm going to be in a cruising car. Well, we started down the street. And when we started down the street, he grabbed his stomach and said, oh, my God, I'm sick. I said, what's the matter? What's the matter? I got panicky. I said, what's the matter? He said, oh, I know I shouldn't have come into work. I don't feel good. I said, well, what do you want me to do? He said, you better take me in the station. I got to go home. I'm sick. First year on the job in 1957, I had a long overcoat on, and I was walking down Cabot Street. And I happened to look up, and I saw all this smoke coming out of the building. And I see everybody standing on the sidewalk, and they're looking up in the 3rd floor. And there's a guy in the window. And I said, how come he doesn't come downstairs? He said he can't come down. I said, why? His legs are both in the cast. He got 2 broken legs. I went in that building with all that smoke and fire, with an overcoat on, because it was cold out. That's the stupid thing I did. But anyhow, I went up there and picked that man up and carried him down on my shoulder with both casts on both legs. And when I got on that sidewalk, I collapsed. And I was taken to the city hospital for smoke inhalation. So I got the Thomas F. Sullivan Award and the Department of Medal of Honor for that, and various commendations and awards, but that was the highest that I got in my career. The captain called me in. I never forget it. Captain Cuniff. And he called me in and said to me, "Saunders, how would you like to work as a juvenile officer?" And I said, "Fine." He said, "Well, I'm going to put you in plain clothes." And he put me in plain clothes with a fella by the name of Ray Emery. And Ray Emery, who was a Caucasian officer, was a beautiful partner work, and Ray had no. Now, one gentleman said to me, and I'm being very frank about this, said to me, "You better watch out for him because he's from down south." I said, "Let me tell you something. He knows more about us than you know because he's down there and he knows." But Ray Emery was a decent man and he was a good partner. He's deceased now, but we worked together for years. A unit called the Soul Patrol. The Soul Patrol was crime was rampant in Roxbury and whatnot, and the Soul Patrol was formed. And I worked with a gentleman who I didn't know was going to be my partner for in a few years, the illustrious Lieutenant Detective Valamore Williams. And we were all in the Soul Patrol together, and we brought crime down in the Roxbury. That was under Commissioner Edmund McNamara. He was the commissioner at that time. The commanding officers of the Soul Patrol at that time, appointed by Commissioner Edmund McNamara, was Sergeant Earl Bolt, who later went up through the ranks and became a superintendent, and Deputy Superintendent Herbert Cragwell. They were the commanders of that unit. And I think there was 26 African Americans officers, because I counted them on the picture, in that unit. When I became a deputy superintendent, I had the honor and the privilege of meeting and talking, sitting down with, I was called to her hotel room one night, Mrs. Rosa Parks. And that's the first thing she asked me about the busing. I said, not everybody was against forced busing. But like I said, again, we had a job to do, and we did the job with fairness and equality. One day, I walked down, and I'm get perturbed at this. Not it happened to me, but I get perturbed at the whole situation. I walked down the corner, and there was two African-American officers standing on the corner. So I said, "Hey, how you doing?" "Watch me now. What do you say?" I said, "How you feeling?" "Doing all right." I said, "Well, let me identify myself. I'm retired Deputy Superintendent Saunders from your department." "Oh, hi, Deputy. How are you? How you doing? How's everything?" Now, why have I got to go through that to get a decent answer? And I'm going to say this, and I'll say this in front of the camera and everywhere. Police officers, not all, have got to change their attitude toward the public. You can still do your job 100%, but you treat people decent. The friends that I've gathered who have helped me and didn't look at me of who I was, but what a job I did. And those are the ones I come in and I say thank you to that. Because there were some that, and I'll be frank with you, that just didn't used to working with us, but the majority of guys who worked on it had no qualms or no problems or whatnot. We all had one job to do, and that was to solve crime and make life better for the people of the city of Boston.